Hey everybody, I'm Mike.
I'm Bob.
I'm Spencer.
Je m'appelle Daniel.
And this is the Board Game Rundown. And today we are reviewing Charcuterie from Third World Studios, designed by Whitney Lorraine and Josh Camden. Takes about 20 minutes to play. We're going to show you how it plays, and then we're going to give it a score and tell you our thoughts. So in Charcuterie, you are arranging ingredients for a charcuterie board on your board. This is a I split, you choose game. So you're going to choose one player. They're going to reach into the bag. For a 4-player game, they're going to grab 12 tiles. They're going to make 4 different stacks of 3 tiles. They're going to split them. And then the first player to the left is going to take their chosen stack. And then clockwise, everybody is going to take a stack until finally the person who split the stack takes the last stack available. You can stack these however you want on your board, except that they have to completely fill in the board here. They can't be hanging off the edge. They have to be mostly visible. And you can rearrange them really at any time. And you're each going to take 2 turns splitting the stacks, and we're going to play 2 rounds. And in a 4-player game, that is the entire game. The scoring all comes from everybody gets 2 recipe cards and chooses one. So these are your private scoring at the end of the game. And then there's community scoring that everybody is going to score at the end of the game. There are base versions of these, and then there are gourmet versions. You can also mix and match. We've got a kind of a hodgepodge of different scoring cards here, but they're going to score things like based on how many tiles you have in a group, how many pairs you've got on your board, how many meats are adjacent to cheeses and breads, and things like that. That's really the entire. That's the way you play. It's a pretty simple game to pick up and teach. It supports up to 6 players. So that's how you play it.
I got a question for you though, Mike.
Yes.
Do they have to be stacks of 3, or can you put like 4 and 2?
No, they have to be equal stacks.
Equal stacks. Okay, yep. I was just curious because, odds are you'd be stuck with the one with only 2 in it, so it wouldn't really behoove you to do that. But
plus, it changes depending on how many players are in the game.
Sure.
Yep. So, yeah, and it's kind of interesting how, the first person, splits them all, but they're the last person to choose, right. So you don't want to make one stack, super juicy, because
that's the beauty of the I split, you choose mechanic. You got to make it as even as possible.
Indeed. Yeah. So, Bob, why don't you go ahead and tell us your thoughts on this game, then?
Sure. It's pretty fun. I did have a hard time when we first played the prototype. I think they had some of the shapes not quite down, and that really threw me off, but they seem to have fixed all that problem with the final production version, and that is super helpful. The recipe cards do add quite a bit of variety, as well as all the other scoring cards, so that kind of mixes up the gameplay each time. But I had a good time with it, and it's something that I would reach for to play. So, yeah, I do enjoy the I split you choose. It's one of my favorite kind of mechanics, because I think, to me, that's one of the fairest way to decide who gets what, right? Because if I have to make separate piles, I'm going to have to be okay taking whatever piles left over, so you want to try to make those as even and equal as possible, so... And if you saw, Mike did have the cheese bag that came with the Kickstarter edition.
I backed this on Kickstarter. That came with this.
Yep.
But this is what comes in the game.
Still a nice bag.
I like them both.
Yeah. But yeah, that's pretty much where I end up at.
Dan, your thoughts?
Oh, I have to talk. I split you choose is a very interesting mechanism. I think. I tend to like it when it's mixed into a game more so than the entire point of the game. It's a little simple, and that's not like a negative to the thing. People love I split you choose. I think that there was a game like New York Slice, I think it was called, was kind of like the I split you choose game for a very long time. There was also a really famous one called Piece of Cake or something like that. They might have even been reskins of each other. I don't know that well. But the thing that I will say, the highest marks I can say to this game is I think this is probably the new standard. This is kind of the, you want a game that's like a pure I split you choose, game where you're just collecting stuff and then scoring what you were able to build. I think this is that line at this point. I easily give that to Charcuterie. Again, though, it's not exactly my favorite thing. Like Bob said, it's one of his favorite mechanics. It wouldn't be one of my favorites. I think it's a very interesting thing to mix in with a lot of other stuff when you got going on. You know, kind of like if you don't like deck building, but if deck building is a mechanic in a game, you're doing a lot of other things that might make it more interesting, like a Taverns of Tiefenthal. You know, there's so much going on. The deck building is just a nice highlight inside the game. I think I Split You Choose is like it glows in that scenario where it's a nice puzzle you're doing that then sets up the next other puzzle you're doing, right? So for me, this is a fun game that is well designed. The art is so, like, it makes me hungry. The fact that this like isn't photo scans, but like that's what they look like. Like you just set this a couple feet away from me, it looks like a photo. The art is so realistic and so well done. And I think there's a lot of good stuff to say about this game. Overall for me, it is fun.
Spencer, what'd you think?
I like the aesthetic. I mean, the boards themselves are nice. I kind of wish that they would sell a board that looked just like this little charcuterie thing on it. I do also like the You Split, You Choose mechanic. I am actually quite a fan of trying to figure out the puzzle down here, because not only do you have to make certain that they are completely on, and you have to make certain that you're not completely covering one, they have to touch the board. So I can't have one hovering over two of them. That's not going to count. And so you're trying to maneuver that while looking at this, and in some cases you want to make certain the groups aren't touching. And you start getting kind of complicated, and you're trying to min-max at things, but you got to do it quickly because everyone else is going. Your turn goes fast. Yeah, this is not a long game. What was this, 15 minutes?
Yeah. 15, 20 minutes.
But no, I enjoyed it quite a bit. And I really do. It's a point salad game. Like, literally. Yeah. But yeah, the replayability is nice. The individual recipes, they're varied enough that I would definitely want to play it again. The gourmet recipes have a lot of neat variation in them. Like, one of them was 21 points, but you have to have this exact thing on the board.
Very hard to pull off.
Yeah, get two of those, and you just give them the win.
Yeah.
And then we also have variations that let you either speed up the game or make it less random.
Less random when there's less players.
Random, less players.
Yeah, you take some of the stuff out of the bag.
Yeah. And yeah, I did enjoy this game.
I think just going off what you said there really quick, it's... Yeah, I completely forgot what I was going to say. Never mind. I'll think about it when Mike talks, because he was going to talk about something too.
I do want to add that when you look at the board, you'll notice that there's a ring around the board, and that is the edge of the plate in a 5 or 6 player game. So now the economy of space is much tighter.
Luckily, the previous time I said this, it was cut out. I do want to say, because something that, that Spencer said, and I totally remember, the game almost sneakily, without ever mentioning it, is a pure simultaneous game. Because you take what you want and you put it on your board, but you don't have to line everything up perfectly right then. Like, while everyone else is taking their turn, you can just keep moving stuff around. Like, you can keep moving stuff around the entire game until scoring happens. Like, and you're just like, oh, actually, if I put this here, this would get me 5 more points. So, like, really, the entire game is just non-stop you manipulating your board, and then every once in a while you stop to add more to your board and then continue manipulating. There's literally no downtime unless you get your board in a perfect state, in which case you've earned your downtime. So.
Yeah, that's one of the things I like, is that there is virtually no downtime. Even while the one person is grabbing the tiles and stacking them, odds are you're probably looking at your board and determining still how you want to move things around. And I like how approachable this is. I think there's enough here for gamers while also being very easy to teach to non-gamers or people that don't game as much as we do. And very much so, I want to highlight the art of Yola Sopek, because the watercoloring on these tiles, on this board, on the box is just incredible. I mean, this is photorealistic. The tomatoes and the Ritz crackers here, just unbelievable.
Every time I look at the scoreboard, I'm trying to wipe the crumbs off.
Just unbelievably photorealistic watercolorings by Yola Sopek. So I just want to make sure she got the credit she deserves, because the look is amazing to me. I think the rule book is very very good. I like how it looks like, and the box and the rule book look like a cutting board and have the cut marks on it. I like how everything is clearly displayed on the back so you know what you're actually drafting. And yeah, the I split you choose part of the game is one thing I like in gaming, where take a very simple rule, but there's a lot of decision space in that one very simple mechanic. I'm taking these 12 tiles and I'm just dividing them into 4 stacks, but there's all this to keep in mind while I'm doing that, plus my recipe card. And I mean, heck, somebody could really AP on that if they wanted to like count the score each time they do it. Don't do that. This is a 20-minute game. But yeah, there's I just like the approachability. I love the aesthetic. And yeah, I think this is one that I will find getting played a lot, like during holidays and with some of my friends that don't game that much. So that's our thoughts. Let's go ahead and score this. Dan, how do we score games here on the Rundown?
Well, here at Board Game Rundown, we're each going to give our thoughts and rate the game from 0.5 to 10, and then we're going to average them all together at the end so that you get our individual thoughts and one score that Board Game Rundown has on stuff like Board Game Geek, Discord, and the like.
Man, that's such a great way of doing it.
Yeah, aren't we
Smart.
just clever?
Yeah.
Dan, what's your score?
This is a good game. I famously, annoyingly famous, I don't know how to put it on this channel, for just liking Meteor games. And when you get a game this simple, my score just drops because of it. This isn't what I play in my spare time. It's a well-designed game. It is fun. I'm going to give it a 7.
Okay, Spencer.
I think this game would be easy to have hit the table, which is a big thing for me. And it takes a little time to play, takes a little time to teach. I'm going to give this one an 8.
Awesome. Bob?
Dan, you're 100% right. This is a 7.
I am falling between everybody, and it is a 7.5. I am glad that I backed it.
Yep.
And this is going to see a lot of plays, like I said, especially during the holidays. So looking forward to repeated plays of this. All right, so if you take all of our scores and average them together, you get a 7.4. Very respectable score for Charcuterie. I want to make sure that I add, if you are interested in this game, Third World Studios will have copies of this available in their Gen Con booth. They will be limited, so if you're interested, check it out Thursday. Don't wait.
Yeah, sold out at Origins, so yeah, make sure you get in there.
Yeah, they sold out at Origins. Good point, Bob. So don't wait. They're available, but limited. Anything else anybody would like to add?
Well, I have written a book. You can check it out on SpencerHicks.com. Find it on Amazon. It's called Sinister Love. And I'll be selling it at Gen Con if you're going to be there.
Nice. Excellent.
We will also be at Gen Con at booth 1931.
For the Board Game Rundown, I was Mike.
Meat and cheese.
I'm Spencer.
Damn.
And you can say the title's only